Hi, my name is Seraphel, and I like to give my dolls new faces inspired by things that I like. Today I'll be giving a new face to this Core Refresh Draculaura inspired by a recent makeup trend I've seen on TikTok. A few weeks ago, I saw this super cool yarn face makeup from user Anna Murphy. I was absolutely enamored by how it looked, and I immediately began brainstorming how I'd be able to execute it on a doll. I didn't really want it to be a permanent modification to the doll, so I began to think about how I could make some sort of yarn mask. After a little chat with a friend, I realized a paper mache method would work really well. First, I prepared my glue mixture. It's just some white PVA glue and a little bit of water. I diluted it with a little too much water here, so I added more glue afterwards. You can test the consistency of this glue mixture by pinching it between your fingers. I found that the best consistency is slippery for about 5 seconds or so before it turns more tacky. I'm using paper towel as the base of the mask. I'm reusing some paper towel that I use when I mask off doll hair since it's technically not dirty or anything. To make sure the base isn't too bulky, I'm separating the 2 layers of the paper towel. Now I place the paper towel onto the face and apply the glue mixture. It's so satisfying seeing the paper get saturated. Anyway, in hindsight, it's better to be working in smaller pieces. Big wrinkles don't matter too much, but you do want to make sure that the mask is contoured well around notable features like the nose and the lips. I'm using the back of my brush to really define those shapes. Smaller pieces would just make that job a lot easier. After 30 minutes in front of a fan, I wanted to test the integrity of the mask. Gently squeeze the vinyl head to lift the corners, and then use a tool to fully remove the mask. The mask concaved a little bit, but thankfully it didn't tear. I decided to add another layer of paper towel just for safe measure. Once that was dry, I used a pencil to sketch out where the eyes would sit, but honestly, it's not necessary since the contours of the face work quite well as a guide already. Now it's time for the yarn. I found this yarn at a Daiso that I thought was the perfect size and doll scale. I don't know that much about yarn thickness, but most of the yarns that I found were just way too thick. You basically want something in between sewing thread and embroidery thread. The start is definitely the hardest part of this whole process. Starting from the tip of the nose, you want to place the yarn in a spiral on the face. Once again, hindsight has shown me that I used a little too much glue here. You want the starting point to stick as soon as possible, so apply a light amount of glue so that it'll be more tacky. I ended up having to gently blow on the face for the glue to dry faster. Once I managed to get my spiral started, I continued to place the yarn. I also use this needle to make sure that the yarn is pushed into the contours of the face. Once I hit the inner corner of where an eye hole will sit, it's time to pivot and place the yarn on the lower part of the face. I'll keep going until I hit the outer corner of both eyes. Afterwards, you just repeat this process on the bridge of the nose and on the forehead. When the whole face is eventually covered, I do another layer of glue mixture over the whole mask, paying close attention to more delicate areas like around the eyes and on the tip of the nose. After an hour in front of a fan, I decided to remove the mask. Thankfully, it popped off with no complications and came out exactly as I envisioned. After trimming the excess paper towel and removing the eye holes, I placed the mask on a different Draculaura to fully dry without warping. While that's drying, it's finally time to prep Draculaura for her face-up. After her 2 starting layers of Mr. Super Clear, I began to sketch out her face using a color close to her skin tone. I kept the mask nearby to make sure that her eyes sat nicely within the holes of the mask. Either way, I've done so many Draculauras that her face is almost second nature to me. With the sketch out of the way, I begin to line and lay down my base colors. I love giving Draculaura split eyebrows to match her split dye hair. And now it's time for pastels. I was scrolling through all the yarn makeup videos on TikTok when I saw this look from user It's So Nasty. The purple-pink color scheme and the little heart under the eye was enough for me to think that this was fate. I decided to replicate this look on both the mask and on her face up. I focused a cool pink right at the top of her nose bridge to hollow out her eyes a bit. I then went in with a brighter cool pink on her lips. I mostly focused this color across her upper lip and spent a lot of time refining the bottom lip. This gave Draculaura sort of a pouty look, much like the heart-shaped lip on It's So Nasty's yarn makeup. I used a light purple on the center of her eyelids and a darker purple on her inner and outer corners to add more dimension. I brought this darker purple to her lower eyeline and then blended that out with black to make her look a little more tired as well. After some blushing, I added a layer of plain white pastel across her whole face. I wanted her to look a bit more ghostly pale, so I thought this could help out a bit, but I'm not sure if it did anything, honestly. Either way, adding pastel can give your pencils better grip, so I went in to continue lining where I could. Now we're on the second layer, where I continue to build up and blend my colors. There's not really much to say here, so I'll just give you a break from me talking your ear off. We've made it to the third layer where I can finally add her lashes on. Every yarn makeup look I've seen has had such pretty lashes that I decided to be brave and draw some on the best that I could. They came out looking a little spidery, but honestly, I think it adds to the vibe. For Draculaura's birthmark, I originally wanted to do an outline of a heart, but I decided to fill it in last minute. I honestly kind of regret it, but it was a little too late to erase, so I just had to make do. I always seem to forget Draculaura's fangs, but don't worry, I added those in later. And with her catchlights, she's finally come to life. I basically repeated the makeup on the mask, but a bit more messily. Because the mask is quite solid, you can also draw on it using watercolor pencil and gently remove pigment using a kneaded eraser if you need to. Here's the final look for my yarn face Draculaura. I'm honestly so happy with how she turned out. I already have a general roadmap of faceup plans, but part of me wants to make a whole set of yarn face ghouls on my own time since I had so much fun with this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave any questions, comments, or critiques for me, and I hope to see you in the next one.